Oh, no. Okay, so will he miss you? Does he miss you? What will stop him from missing you? Hello, my name is Matthew Coast, and welcome to this video. Today, we're going to be talking about the things that you may do that will stop a man from missing you. If you are excited and ready to hear about all the things that you might do that'll stop him from missing you, type yes. Type yes into the chat and let's get started. So thing number one is losing your sense of self. So when you get into a relationship, they've actually done a bunch of studies on this, and they found that what ends up happening is you start dating, right? You start dating each other. Maybe you get into a relationship, but even before that, you're dating and you see him and you like him and you think he's great. You think he's amazing. You think he's so wonderful. And so you start envisioning in your mind you guys being together, holding hands, playing hopscotch or, naked twister or whatever it is that you vision in your mind of you guys doing together. And what happens is your identities start to melt together and you start to feel like you're one person. And that's a very cool and powerful and enlightening experience to have, right? Maybe you've experienced this before. The problem is that sometimes losing yourself completely isn't really all that healthy. There needs to be some boundaries. There needs to be some separation that goes on there. And there needs to be some healthy space that's created between the two of you. Think of it like a heartbeat. This is one of my favorite metaphors. Think of it like a heartbeat. A heartbeat goes in and out and in and out. And if it's just in, that is, you're not alive anymore, right? Like if you look at a heartbeat and it's just straight, you're not alive anymore, right? It goes in and out. And it's important to do that in a relationship as well. And if you want him to miss you, do things that build your sense of self. Have hobbies, have different stuff that is uniquely you. Have your own space, have your own things that are yours and a part of you. That way you're not completely losing yourself to the relationship. And instead, you have a healthy sense of who you are and what you're doing. Have your own things that are outside of the relationship. They've done a lot of studies on this, and they found that that is the healthiest way to do things. Number two. By the way, if you're with us right now, tell us where you're watching in the world, and tell us what your name is, and tell us where you're watching. It's cool to see all these women from all over the world watching these things. So number two is smothering him. So this is when you jump on him and he's like, oh, I need to go. And you're like, no. And you hold on to his leg and he's dragging you. And you're like, no, you can't go away from me. Because if you leave me, I'll find you, right? You don't want to do any of that stuff. Instead, think again like a heartbeat, right? Sometimes you're close. Sometimes you're far away. Sometimes you're close. Sometimes you're far away. And women, a lot of times they come to me and they're like, hey, I gave everything to this man and he didn't appreciate me. He still left me. He didn't value me after I gave him everything. And here's the problem with that. Giving a man more of something that he already doesn't appreciate will not make him appreciate you more. That is a fact. It's a fact. So don't do it. Instead, have hobbies, have friends, have activities that you have outside of the relationship that you do on a regular basis. Encourage him to go hang out with his friends. It's healthy to have our own lives outside of a relationship and coming back to it, and then going out and coming back to it, right? It's like the heartbeat, right? And so you want, I know it doesn't seem as romantic as I'm together with you all the time, right? But it's healthier. It's healthier. So do the healthier thing. It's better. It's better. Trust me on this one. Number three. So by the way, if you get what we're talking about right now, say, I get it in the chat. If you don't get what I'm talking about, go ahead and ask any questions that you might have, and I will get to them at the end here. We have 5, and we're on number 3. We're on number 3. And so number 3 is focusing on negative emotions. So a very common strategy that a lot of women are known to do, men do this sometimes as well, is to create negative emotion or negative drama in order to show that a guy cares. Because if you poke him emotionally in a negative way, he'll like get all riled up, and it'll show you that he actually cares, and that feels good because he cares. But the problem is that if you're doing this a lot, what ends up happening is that you start creating negative emotions that are associated with you. And once you start associating negative emotions with you, he'll start seeing you. So if it's like you negative, it won't take very long before he starts seeing you, and immediately he starts seeing or feeling negative emotions around you. And that's when things start moving downhill and the relationship starts falling apart. And instead, you want to build up positive emotions. You don't have to be positive all the time. You just need to be positive at least 5 times as much as you are negative, which shouldn't be difficult. If that's difficult, there's something else going on there that you want to start looking at and going, hey, maybe there's something unhealthy about our relationship, or about him, or about me, or about a combination of those things. And so you want to build positive emotions. So think of it like a bank account, an emotional bank account. The more positive emotions that you deposit into the bank account, the more that you can bring in negative emotions, and it's not a big deal because you have a big balance in the bank account. But if your bank account is really low with positive emotions, then it can end up screwing up the bank account and making the entire thing go and have problems, and then you get kicked out of the bank, and they don't want to see you anymore, and we don't want any of that stuff to happen. So build up positive emotions in the relationship. That's what you want to do instead. So number 4 is something that's being too bland, right? Being too bland, being too boring. And here's a fact that sometimes we don't like to talk about. The fact is that you can't bore a man into wanting to be with you. Look, I get it. It's probably healthier to be more on the boring side of things, right? It's healthier, but it's boring, right? And so you want to have some kind of variety. We all have a need, an emotional need of variety, of excitement, of fun. And we want to have that in the relationship. And it's actually a lot easier to build than you might think. It's what happens. The problem is that most people, they become basically roommates after a while in their relationship. They don't continue to date each other. They don't continue to play. They don't continue to have fun, because things come up and work comes up and babies come up and different things come up. And then next thing you know, you're basically like roommates, and there's no playtime. There's no fun time. You're not hooking up together anymore. And it becomes this kind of boring and dull and horrible thing. And you don't want that to happen. Instead, you want to bring some excitement, bring some variety, bring some passion to the situation. There's a bunch of different ways that you can do that. You can do it through creating polarity. The easiest polarity is through masculine, feminine polarity, but there's other types of polarity too. You can do it through just creating a variety of different things that you're doing in the relationship or between two people. This is actually where a lot of people start becoming gamey or start, playing manipulation and stuff like that, because that actually creates a lot of excitement and fun and variety and all those kinds of things. But it's better to do it in a healthier way. It's better to do it from a stance of like, hey, we're together in this and we're creating more fun and exciting things that we do together, where there's spontaneity, there's surprise, there's all these different things, and it's a lot more fun. If you're single and you're looking to get into a relationship, you can visit MatthewCoast.com and you can sign up for one of my webinars that is coming up. So go check it out. Number 5, Going to talk about number 5. Again, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. I will get to them here in just a little bit. Number 5 is you don't want to be too crazy, right? There's two sides of things, right? There's one side where you're boring and it's just like, and it kind of sucks. And the other side is like, there's so much variety. There's so much stuff that's constantly playing, and it ends up feeling like it's a little bit crazy. And so there's a middle ground that you want to be in. The magic is in the middle. In most things in life, the magic is in the middle. And so you don't want to be on the side of too boring, but you also don't want to be on the side of like, running around and acting too crazy and all that. And so instead, you want to be in the sweet spot, right? If it's too much on one side or the other, one side is like boring and apathetic, and the other side is like painful because it's like just way too much stimulation. It just takes too much, and you'll be told things like you're too much, and stuff like that. And that's not a great place to be either. Instead, you want to be in the middle. You want to be in a healthy place, and that way you have this fun and this flow, but it's not too much, and you're in excitement, and you guys are liking each other. And then when you go away, there's a thing that I call connection cycling. And connection cycling, all it is like the heartbeat again. It's going away and coming close, and going away and coming close, right? And that time that you're together, you want it to be positive, you want it to be fun, you want it to have excitement, you want to have stability there, you want to hit all the emotional needs, but at the same time, you want it to be positive. That way, when you are gone, he'll miss you during that period of time when you're gone. And when you come back together, he'll be like, oh man, I couldn't wait to see you again. You're so amazing. Oh, I'll be kissing you all over your face and just looking at you longingly. And he's just so in love because you're so amazing. And the things that you do together are so great. And so, all right, I'm going back over the 5 again. If you have questions, put them in the chat. We'll talk about them. So these are things that you don't want to do. It stops a man from actually missing you. And number 1 is losing your sense of self. Number 2 is smothering him. Number 3 is focusing on negative emotions. Number 4 is being way too bland. And number 5 is being a little bit too crazy. All right. So let's see. Anonymous Facebook user says, will you be doing these live for single women? Yeah, I do these actually every single week for women that are in my program. So if you're interested in additional help, you should check out MatthewCoast.com. And if you're interested in that, you can check it out. And it's awesome. It's awesome. You can be a part of what we got going on here. What we got going on. All right. So what do we got? So Amisha says, what to do with a man who has not communicated in more than 3 weeks after saying he will get back the next day? Well, here's the thing, Amisha. There's 2 different things that are going on. First off, you want to look at your communication. How much have you communicated with him? How much are you reliant on him? There's this thing called leaning back. And there's a lot of mythology around this idea of leaning back. And if you read some books out there about leaning back, they're like, they basically tell you to do nothing, right? I read a book where they're like, lean back. And that means do absolutely nothing. That is not what you want to do, right? Guys want to know that you're interested in him. He wants to know that you like him, that you want a relationship with him, that you want something romantic with him. He wants to know that you're interested and you're putting some effort and energy towards this as well, right? Men want to feel appreciated. They want to feel liked. They want to feel valued, just like you want to feel appreciated and liked and valued. And so make sure, first off, number 1 is that you're also contributing, that you're also putting in effort, that you're also doing things. Because if you don't do those things, then what's going to end up happening is he's going to feel like you don't actually like him. And then what will likely happen from that is that he'll end up disappearing. There's a lot of women that come to me, a lot of times what I have them do is I have a text message, a forward text message that I have them send out to guys who who have pulled away from them. And 3 weeks is a long time. So at this point, you can definitely send them a text message if you want to. You probably could have done it 2 weeks ago if you wanted to. And so a lot of times they'll send out a text message, and when they send out that text message, the guys like, they get back to them like immediately, right? Like I had a woman in one of my seminars sent out this text message to like, I think it was like 4 different guys or something. And by the end of the seminar, all 4 guys had responded back to her, and she had dates set up with like 2 or 3 of them or something like that. And so one of the things you want to remember is that guys want to connect with you as well. They want you to reach out to them, and doing it in a smart and fun and interesting way is good. However, here, Amisha, is one of the problems that you have here is that it's been 3 weeks and he told you that he's going to get back to you the next day. And so another thing that you want to look at, assuming that you're doing things in a healthy way and you're connecting with him and you're showing interest and all that kind of stuff, is you want to look at his words and actions, and you want to see it over time and see if it's consistent, right? So not everything's about this guy, right? Part of it's about you and about your understanding of your own value, and you saying, okay, I'm a valuable woman and I deserve to have a man who actually treats me well, who actually is a man of his word, who's going to show up and, be there for me, who's, this is a trial period where I get to see whether he's going to be the right man for me or not. Right. And when you focus on this guy and you're like, well, what do I do with him right now? What do I do? What you're doing when you do that is you're taking him and you're putting him on a pedestal. You're giving him way too much value. And instead of doing that, what you want to do is take him off that pedestal and put the relationship that you want on that pedestal and say, hey, is this guy actually taking me to the relationship that I want to be in? And if he's not taking me to that relationship, then he is weeding himself out of the running of being the right man for you in the relationship that you want, Amisha. He's taken himself out of the running. Just think about it in terms of like a business, right? Whenever I hire somebody for my business, I always give them a trial period, right? It might be a month, it might be 3 months, right? But I give them a trial period, and they might fail out of it before the first month is over. And they might be good, right? It just really depends. And so, when I hire them, I make sure that it's clear what they need to do in order to be successful in the position. And so the question comes up, are they doing the things that they're supposed to be doing? Are they showing up? Are they, actually doing the work that they said that they're going to do? Are they doing the work that I want them to do? Or are they spending all their time hanging out by the water cooler playing slap and tickle with Susie, right? And I'm over here like, why is the work not getting done? Or they don't show up for weeks, right? And they come back and they're like, what? Why aren't you paying me? And you're like, you've been gone for weeks. Why would I want you in the company anymore, right? And it's the same thing in these situations with these guys. It's not all about, getting the right guy. If you're just trying to get this guy, it might be a really bad situation. Instead, what you want to do is get the relationship and find out if the guy is the guy to take you there. And if he's not, there's a lot of really great guys out there. There's a lot of them. And if you're having problems, go to MatthewCoast.com, sign up for one of my next webinars, and I'll help show you how to attract a really great guy into your life. I'll show you how to get into the relationship that you want to have and stop dealing with all these time wasters, losers, good for nothings. They're good for nothings, loser, wasters, time wasters. Just bury the dead. All right. That's something a lot of women say on that. So Patricia says, love your advice and laugh. Keep up the amazing job. Patricia from Canada. Thanks, Patricia. I appreciate you. Caroline says, men or boys never grow up. They use women. Yeah, some do. It's true. You're right. And that sucks. And some women use men, and that sucks too. And both sides suck, right? And so you want to weed those guys out and only spend time with the good guys. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. Amisha says, you've given me the best advice ever. Never chase a man, as this can never work at all. I've really implemented it, even if it's killing me. Well, that's awesome. Good job. Good job, Amisha. Good job at taking advice and actually using it. Most people don't actually use it. Curray says, what about a Sigma male? Sigma male is a fake thing that somebody came up with to like make themselves feel good. And it's usually guys that like come up with that stuff. I would just totally ignore labels like Sigma male or alpha male or beta male. Those are more for men to take those and make themselves feel better and give themselves something to strive for, to be like that. All that stuff has actually been debunked. Those things aren't actually real. I do think that there's value for men to look at those and say, oh, yeah, this is the kind of man that I want to be, the stoic, strong, masculine type who, don't take no crap from nobody, right? And I just, go along with my life. Like, just ignore all that stuff, right? And instead look at it and say, is this man taking me to the relationship that I want to go to? That's really what matters, right? If he's not doing that, it doesn't matter if he's a Sigma or an Alpha or a Beta. He is weeding himself out of the running of being the right man for you. Correct. Don't let these men waste your time. Don't let them do it, Correct. You're better than that. You deserve more than that. You deserve a man who actually treats you really well, who wants to be with you, who wants to create an amazing relationship with you, Correct. So don't let no man treat you like no garbage. Make sure that you're being treated like $1 million. All right, Correct? All right? You get it? You get what I'm talking about? Type yes into the chat, Correct. Type yes into the chat if you get what I'm talking about. Tell me about it. I want to know. Yeah. All right. So, questions. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them. If you haven't visited MatthewCoast.com and checked out the upcoming webinars, go and check that out. Anonymous Facebook user says, if you did any of these, how can you rekindle our relationship? So what you want to do is just start slowly building. There's two different ways you can do it, either slow or fast. The fast way, if you're still together, is a lot of times the better way to do it, is to bring it in. But it can be a little bit shocking, right? If you've been like, let's say that you've been together for years, anonymous Facebook user, and you're like, and things have been stale for years, it might be better to like slowly start bringing more excitement, more fun, more playfulness, or maybe you've been on the crazy side and you need to go the other way, right? Or maybe you've been on the creating lots of negative emotions side and you need to start creating positive emotions. You can start creating positive emotions immediately and it'll change everything. And so what you want to do is you want to come from this place called partnership. I call it the partnership principle, where you're basically on the same side as a man and looking at it and seeing things from his side and saying, hey, how do we create this together? How do we build this together? How do we, start doing these things together where we're, I'm creating positive emotions. I'm connecting with him. I'm connecting with his emotional needs. There's 4 primary emotional needs that you want to connect with. The number one is significance. That's the number one thing that you want to connect with is making him feel important and significant. It's the number one primary emotional need for probably around like 90% of men out there. They want to feel like they're doing a great job. They want to feel like they're amazing men, like they are strong and powerful, like they have done some great work in the world, like they will leave a legacy on the world. That's what they want. And so you can give him that feeling, you can give him that emotion. And you can make him feel just amazingly good when he's around you. There's a thing out there, it's called the hero instinct, which a friend of mine, James Bauer, actually created and popularized. He didn't create it, he popularized it. And That's a part of significance, right? Him feeling like he's your hero, right? That is making him feel important, right? That's the emotional need of significance. It's one of the ways to connect with his emotional need of significance. It's really powerful. If you want more, you can always visit MatthewCoast.com, check out my webinar and see if maybe, you want to see what I'm talking about and what I'm doing. All right. So Anonymous Facebook user says, I've had 2 dates with a guy and we had so much fun. Should I invite him to do something? So that's an amazing question, Anonymous Facebook user. Amazing question. And the reason it's so amazing is because the real question here is actually, has he been moving forward, right? Like, what has been the cause of you guys doing everything together, right? Like if he has been moving things forward, you can feel his masculine energies, taking care of things. He's doing stuff. He's doing all that kind of stuff. It's possible for you to start doing stuff as well. However, it's better if he just keeps doing it. So you don't need to start planning everything and doing everything if he's been doing it, but you can start contributing now. But you don't want to take it over and start doing everything, and then you're doing everything, and it just turns into this big mess. Instead, you just want to let him continue to do it, and then if you feel like there's some pieces where you can contribute or you can add, that's better to do than taking it over and being like, oh, I'm going to plan this date and we're all going to go and do this, right? So that's better. It's better to contribute than to do everything. Does that make sense, anonymous Facebook user? Okay, Erna says, how to know that you're in love. So Erna, the way that you know that you're in love, the easiest way is that you start looking at the person. I call it love drunk. You get these glasses on, you get these goggles on your face, and all of a sudden this man starts becoming amazing. All of his flaws are amazing. When he, farts in his sleep, instead of being like, ew, you're like, ooh. And when he's staring at you, instead of you being like, oh, he's so creepy, you're like, I love when you stare at me, right? This is what happens when you're in love, is you start, everything's great, right? He wants you to do something, instead of being like, what do I look like? I got to do everything for you. You're like, of course, I'll totally do that. I'll do anything you want. We're in love, right? That's how you know that you're in love, is because your brain, what happens is your brain, when you fall in love, your brain turns to liquid, right? And then it starts seeping out of your ears. It just pours out of your ears like, psh, and you become really dumb, but you become like really happy and excited, and everything the person does is amazing, right? That's how you know that you are in love, Erna. That's how you know. That's how you know. That's how you know, Erna. Does that make sense or not? I hope that makes sense to you. I hope it makes sense. We're having fun over here. We're having fun over here. Okay, so Nuso says, if a guy likes you, nothing will stop him, and it hunters. Yeah, I mean, to some degree, some guys. Not all guys are like that, for sure. Amber Lee says, hey, Matt, you deserve someone as wonderful as you. I know I may now be in your league after having your help for the past 3 years. Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Amber Lee Rose. Let's see. If you have a question, the best way to have a question in the chat is to put a question mark at the end of it, because that indicates to my brain that you have a question, and then I will go answer it. If you haven't checked it out, go visit MatthewCoast.com, and you can sign up for a webinar that's coming up. Sign up for a webinar coming up. All right. Anonymous Facebook user says, I just met a guy 3 days ago. We talk almost since the day we met, even though we really don't know much about ourselves, but he's already saying he really wants us to be together like a couple. And am I telling him to take it slow. What do I do? You take it slow, anonymous Facebook user. You take it slow. So one of the biggest problems that we have right now, especially in the West, is that people are jumping into relationships way too quickly. They see a relationship, they're like, and they jump in. And then like 3 weeks down the line, they're like, I don't really want to be in this relationship. So I suggest that you take it slow. And if a guy is trying to push you to move faster, you slow him down, you set some boundaries, and you go, hey, I just like to get to know you a little bit better, before we jump into things like this. I just want to feel safe, and I want to make sure that I'm getting myself, I want to feel safe, and I want to make sure that I'm getting myself into a good situation. And you should be getting yourself into a good situation, anonymous Facebook user. It's so important for you to do that. And so, they say that it takes like 3 months for us to really get to know for us to start getting to know somebody, for their, walls to start coming down, and for us to like actually see who they are for real. And it can take even longer than that. There's actually a way to find out faster who a person is. And it's something that I call character first dating. If you want to know all about it, visit MatthewCoast.com. Really, it's about like finding out what his character is, right? Because most people, the way that they go about dating is they just find someone, they get chemistry, they get the love drunk goggles on, and then they're like, oh, I love you, right? And then they hold on to it and they get drug around the place. And then, at some point the chemistry wears off, and then they're like, this person's a completely different person than I thought they were. But in reality, they just had the love drunk goggles on the entire time. And so they didn't know that this person wasn't actually the person that they thought they were. Another thing that happens in addition to that is people will they'll just try to make everything good, right? And it's like anytime there's an argument, they're like, oh, avoid the argument, right? And then they don't find out that this guy's a psychopath, right? And they could have found it out within the first couple of dates if they would have created something where the guy wasn't actually getting what it was that he wanted, because it's not through the good times when you learn someone's character. It's through adversity. It's through the difficult times that a person's character really shows itself. And so if you want to find out what a man's character is, you have to see what he's like in the difficult times. And like I said, if you want to know more about this, I call it the value screening system. And if you want to know more about it, visit MatthewCoast.com and you can check it out, and we'll talk about it over there. Anonymous Facebook user says, is it a good idea to ask a guy what he's looking for in a relationship? Absolutely. It's a very important thing to ask him what he's looking for, and if he's actually even looking for a relationship. That's a conversation you should definitely have, and you can have that conversation very early on. It's not a big deal. No problem at all. And if a guy runs away, sometimes I have women, they're like, when I talk to him about relationships, he literally like runs in the opposite direction. I had a woman one time, she's like, when he talks to me about relationships, he just like, I bring up the idea of a relationship, he literally runs out the door and then he just doesn't come back. Right. And I'm like, yeah, that's a problem, right? If a guy's not even willing to talk about it, he's telling you what's actually going on with him. And it's that he doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't want to have a relationship. He's not interested in that. And if he's doing that, that's fine. He's taking himself out of the running. He's taking himself out of the running. Anonymous Facebook user, you got to know it. You got to know it. Jeanette says, always good advice. Well, thank you. Jennifer says, my question is, the term man pull away situation happens on dating stage or exclusive relationship? Yeah, you can, lots of people use it for lots of different things. So it depends on what you're talking about, right? What are you talking about when you talk about a man pulling away? I had a woman one time and she was like, yeah, this man that I'm dating, he he disappears. He pulls away every single day, right? And I was like, pulls away every single day? And she was like, yeah, he pulls away, at night. And then I don't hear from him again until the morning. And I'm like, so he goes to bed at night and then like he wakes up and he talks to you again. I'm like, that's fairly normal. I mean, there are, in certain circumstances, there could be some red flags around that. But I mean, people go to bed at night. People have boundaries around going to bed at night sometimes, and they don't want to talk all the time, right? So the question is, what do you mean when you talk about a guy pulling away? Are you talking about in a relationship? Are you talking about dating? Are you talking about, a guy that you're exclusive with? What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Jennifer? You tell me. Yep, I can't pronounce your name. Just joined a few minutes ago. I like it so far. Kudos to you. Well, kudos to you for joining so far. So thanks for being here. Yep. All right. XD says, you're awesome with your life-changing advice. Thank you. You are absolutely welcome. Thanks for being here. Anonymous Facebook user. We have lots of anonymous Facebook users asking great questions here. Why would a guy put a woman in a friend zone? Because he doesn't want a relationship with her. He doesn't want to get physical with her. I actually have put a lot of women in the friend zone in my life. By the way, women in the friend zone make the worst friends ever. They make the worst friends ever because they're constantly trying to cock block you and prevent you from meeting other women. It's a horrible thing. So generally speaking, if you're a guy out there, friend zone women usually aren't the best. It's probably similar with guys that get put into the friend zone. But usually it's just because he's not that into you, or he's got trauma and doesn't want to deal with whatever it is. Or it could be that he's trying to set up a friend with benefits, like hook up sex-based situation with you. Any one of those things, all he's doing is taking himself out of the running. I do think that doing a friendship first is a really powerful way to start a relationship. I think friends first is totally underrated. I think that we should bring back this whole friendship first thing because I think it's a better way to be with somebody. I think it's a better way to understand. People are jumping into relationships way too quickly. That's what I think. Other language says, what do you think about a man who invites me to his home while we have a great conversation on the phone? Well, I would say that if you haven't met the guy, that you should definitely not do it. I think that you should put your safety first. I think you should set boundaries. I think that you should shine a light on what kind of relationship you want and where you want things to go. And if he's not willing to take you there, then he takes himself out of the running. That's what I think you should do. A lot of guys are confused. They don't know what to do. They think they can get away with a bunch of stuff just because they've done it in the past, or they've seen other people do it, or they don't know what you want, or, they're just trying to set something up and they feel like maybe if they don't talk about it, maybe it'll be better, which is a really bad strategy just in general. But yeah, remember, this is a trial period. Is he going to do all the things that you need him to do? Are you communicating and letting him know what he needs to do in order to win with you? And is he doing those things over time, consistently, with his words and his actions in alignment long term? That's what you're looking for. And anything else is taking you in the wrong direction. Inviting you over to his house before even meeting you, wrong direction. That is the wrong way to go. It's the wrong way for him. It's the wrong way for you. It's the wrong way for everybody in this situation. Don't know how to say that. Okay. So let's see. Anonymous Facebook user says, thank you, Matt. Your program and advice have been super helpful to me. I'm in a 6-month relationship with a good man who makes me feel important, and I do the same thing. I tell him that he's amazing, and he tells me that he wants to take care of me. Oh, well, that's so sweet. Thanks for the testimony here, anonymous Facebook user. That is absolutely right. So that's great. Awesome. I love it. Good job. Good job at doing everything the right way and kicking butt and taking names. This is what happens when you join my program and you follow what I tell you to do. This is what happens. So great job. She says, great advice. Thank you so much. You are absolutely welcome. Okay, so we have lots of people here with names that I cannot pronounce. She says, hi, what do you think? Great comment. Oh, you already asked that on YouTube, so you're asking it again here on Facebook. So Carolyn says, how do you suggest after texting lots, guessing, meeting in person? Well, there's a few different ways that you can do it. There's two primary ways that you want to do it. And I suggest that you count this as date 0, right? So this is getting a little bit into the weeds of things of actually like how do you meet and how do you do all these things. But yeah, my suggestion is that you don't spend, if you're talking to a guy, don't spend more than a week or 2 talking to him without some kind of plan to either talk on the phone or meet up in person and actually moving towards that. Because a lot of guys out there, let me let you in. Carolyn, let me let you in on a secret. It's a dirty secret. It's a dirty secret that the dating apps don't want you to know about, but they've done some research on the dating apps, and this is what they found. I think it's around like 34% of people on a dating app are actually married. Believe it or not, around 34%, I think, are married. I don't know the exact numbers offhand. I think it's around 34%. It's somewhere between 34 and 40% of people on dating apps are actually married. We actually had a woman in my community who actually admitted to all of us that she's actually married and she's on a dating app. And she said that the reason why was because she wanted to make friends. She wasn't meeting any of these guys. She wasn't doing anything with them. She was just making friends because she was lonely, even though she's married, and she wanted to make more friends and have more of a social life. And so she did that on the apps. And there's a lot of guys that are doing this as well. And they will waste your time. And actually, they found that I think the statistic was only around like 45% of people that are on a dating app are actually single, right? So you have to remember when you're using these dating apps that you don't want to waste a lot of time with these people, because a lot of these people will waste your time forever, right? There's a lot of scammers on there. There's a lot of people that'll waste your time. There's married people. There's people in relationships. There's people that just want to hook up with you. There's only a small percentage of guys on those apps that are actually the right kind of guys that'll take you to the relationship that you want to go to, right? And that's okay. That's okay, because you have a system. You use a system to weed out all the wrong men quickly, very, very quickly, and get to the right men a lot faster. I have a system. It's called value screening. I suggest that you use that. You don't have to. Another thing that you can do, and you're talking about meeting up. Yeah, you meet up with them. And for the first date, you want it to be something where you're just like meeting and finding out whether you actually click with this guy. Like, do you guys like each other? Do you want to actually go on a real date? Do you want to spend more time together? Right? That's the easiest way to do it. And that's the fastest way to do it. And that's the better way to do it than just wasting lots of time texting back and forth. And all you have to do is set a boundary at some point. If it's gone past a week, past 2 weeks, you set a boundary and make it so that you cut off the connection with him, so that it makes it so that he has to meet up with you if he wants to continue talking to you, so that he doesn't waste your time. It is your responsibility to make sure that he doesn't waste his time. Gail says, love doesn't make any sense. It's true. That's literally true. Love doesn't make any sense at all. When you get in love, you just become crazy and you're like, Yep. Okay, so what do we got? Other questions? If you have a question here, put a... All right, so XD, it looks like a happy crying face or something. Should a woman always let a man to approach so there is no doubt about if he's interested in you? No, absolutely. This is a myth there, crying face, happy XD emotion person. Look, there's a myth out there that that men are supposed to make the first move. That is almost never the case. Actually, they've done a bunch of research on this, and they found that 65% of men will not make the first move unless they know that there is a good chance that this is actually going to go somewhere. That's what they found, right? Most guys aren't going to make a move on you unless they think that it's going to work out well in their favor. So it's okay for you to give him indications of interest. It's okay to show some interest. It's okay to wink, to smile, to nod, to get a big smile on your face and look at him, look away, look at him, look down, right? That kind of stuff is totally cool. You can go over and approach him. You can do a lot of things, right? The question is, what does he do next? We had a woman not too long ago who she went and met this guy. She saw this guy at a party or something. She went over and talked to him, and she approached him, right? Started a conversation, had some fun, some laughs, and then she walked away, right? And the guy ended up coming over and stopping her and being like, hey, I want to get your number, and she was just so excited about this happening. And that is a great way to do things. Right? That's okay. If there's a guy that you like and you're courageous and you're confident and you're ready to go do things, right? You can give him the ball, right? This is like passing him the ball. Imagine, football or something, and you run up, or rugby, and you throw him the ball, right? What does he do when you give him the ball? Does he let it go? Does he drop it? Does he run the other direction? Or does he come over to you and move things with you forward, right? So it's not a problem if you approach. It's a problem if he doesn't take the ball and run with it. That's the problem. So it's okay. It's okay, XD. You can approach if you're like, I don't want to wait for no man. I don't want to wait for no man to come over to me. You don't have to. You don't have to. And if you want more information about how to if you're single, you want to get into a great relationship, you can visit MatthewCoast.com. Check out my webinars. They're coming up. Got a bunch of good webinars coming up. Go check it out. Go check it out. I know you want to. I know you want to go check it out. I know you do. Oh, I'm singing again. That's what's going on here. I'm singing again. So, anonymous Facebook user says, what are your thoughts regarding a person with an anxious attachment style and the other person having an avoidant relationship attachment style? So I think that those situations can work well if they're both looking to grow, if they're both looking to become healthier. I think generally speaking, it's better for you to pick someone with a secure attachment style. I know that's rarer these days than it's probably ever been before, right? But going for somebody, I'm just going to assume that you're the anxious attachment style there, anonymous Facebook using, the other person's the avoidant. I would say that is usually a recipe for failure. However, it can work if both people are looking to heal. But what you have to remember is that these people may be if you're going for this anxious attachment style, that is a pattern that he has. That's something that he does over and over and over again. And what that means, having an anxious attachment style, is that he's probably going to disappear on you. He's probably going to threaten the relationship. He's probably going to do a whole bunch of different things where he's leaving or getting out of it because he has this thing where he's avoidant of intimacy and relationship and all kinds of different things. And he's developed a pattern over his life of running away from that stuff, right? And so you want to look at patterns, right? We all live in patterns. And so the question is, what's this person's pattern? And it's possible, right? 90% of people, though, will not change even faced with death. So if you think he's going to change for you, the likelihood is low that he will. It's far more likely that he's just going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And it's just going to be heartbreaking, and you're going to be crying, and it's going to be horrible. And then you're going to be coming to me. You're going to be like, man, how do I get him back? Should I get him back? What should I do here? And I'm going to be like, anonymous Facebook user, stop it. Stop it with the craziness. You need to find somebody that's actually healthy, somebody that's willing to communicate, who's open with communication, wants to create a great relationship with you. That's the better way to do it there, anonymous Facebook user. I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, Pearl says, the guy I'm dating had a friend with benefit, and he honestly told me about it. After 5 dates, I told him to get rid of her, remove her number. He refused to remove her. Why is that, Matthew? Because he is getting his emotional and physical needs met from her there, Pearl. And he's saying that he's not willing to let go of that in order for a potential possibility of a future with you. And so what you want to do is just let him go. Just let him go. You got to let him go, Pearl. Sometimes you got to let him go. And if he wants to step up to the plate and let go of her and get into a real relationship where it's far more fulfilling, there's far more security, there's more safety, there's more passion, there's more love, there's more connection, there's more realness, there's more depth. If he's willing to do that, that's okay. He can do that. But the reason that guys will do that is because the pain of letting go doesn't outweigh the pain of staying there, right? So if that's one of the problems with a lot of the things that are going on in our culture these days, is that people are getting into these situations and then they're in this, hookup sex-based situation. And then instead of letting go of that so that they can open themselves and be free and be open to attracting a great man, they hold on to it, and it prevents them from letting go and actually having a real relationship because they're going to their comfort, right? Remember this statement, Pearl. Remember this. Write it down, circle it, put it on a sticky note, put it on your mirror, and look at it every single day. We don't attract what we want. You don't attract what you want. You attract what's most familiar. So if staying in a hookup situation is most familiar, you're most likely going to go back to that. If toxic, abusive situations are most familiar, you're most likely going to go back to that. If being single is most familiar, you're most likely to stay single rather than get into a relationship. We go to what is most familiar, not to what we want. And so if you want something different than what you've been getting, you have to change what is most familiar to you. And that goes for him as well. And so he's making a choice. He's making a choice saying, it's more important to me to stay in this comfort of this hookup sex situation than walk into this place of uncertainty, this fear, this unknown of what might happen if I get into a real relationship with you. And so he's scared. That's what's actually happening. Is his fear is controlling him. His fear is dictating what he's doing and who he is and what kind of a situation he gets himself into in his life. And as long as that fear is dictating what he's doing, he's going to stay stuck in that hookup, sex-based situation. And I know that a lot of women that are watching this right now have probably experienced very similar things to what he's doing. And you may even be in a similar situation to him right now. I'm not saying you are, Pearl. I'm saying other people are probably doing that as well. And that's pretty common. And so, just coming from that, I want to mention that, more than anything, what we need to do as a society, if you're getting into hookup situations, if you're going into situations where you have anxiety and you're, attaching yourself to guys and you're just linking onto them, or you're, coming from a place of fear, one of the things that you need to do in order to have a healthy relationship is shift the way that you see yourself. Shift the way that you see what what you deserve. And the best way to do that is to change your identity of who you are. because everything's about this identity, right? The reason that we get into bad relationships, or the reason we stay single, or the reason we have problems with dating and men and relationships and all that kind of stuff is it's not because of all that stuff out there. All that stuff, yeah, it changes. Yeah, we have, there's issues going on with men for sure. The hookup culture is horrible. It's really, really bad. But in reality, it's not that difficult to navigate. You can navigate. It's doable. You can navigate it, but you have to come from a different place. You have to see yourself from a different place. You have to see yourself as a woman who can have the relationship that you want. You have to see yourself as a woman who deserves to have a man that treats you well, a woman who deserves to have a man who wants a real relationship with you. You need to see yourself as being sacred. You need to see your body as sacred. You need to see your time as sacred. You need to see your attention as being sacred, because that sacredness is what determines what kind of a situation you're going to get in. If you don't believe that your body's all that valuable, what are you going to do? You're going to give your body away. You're going to give it to whoever. It's not a big deal. Sex is not a big deal, right? All this stuff where we're like, oh, it's just sex. And, if you want to think that way, that's great. But what does that say? What it says is that you don't value it very highly. You don't value someone having access to your body very highly. What you're saying is that you don't value what you truly want, what you deeply desire, which is to have something real. You don't value that very highly. You're not looking at it as sacred. And that's why we're shifting your mindset to start seeing yourself as being somebody who's sacred, being someone who deserves to have something amazing in your life, to have somebody who treats you well, who sees you and says, I just want to be with you and only you. You're amazing. Why would I want anything else? You're exactly what I've been looking for this entire time. Let's do this together. Let's do it. Absolutely. And so what I want you to do is just right now is just close your eyes and take a deep breath in and out. Another deep breath in and out. One last deep breath in. And just breathe out any stress, any anxiety, any frustration, any fears, anything that's in you. Just let it all out. And I want you to remember that you are valuable, that you're powerful, that you deserve so much more than what you've been settling for. We're going to close out with the Queen's mantra. And we say it 3 times every time we say it. Ready? Here it goes. I am valuable. I am worthy. I deserve to be cherished. I am valuable. I am worthy. I deserve to be cherished. I am valuable. I am worthy. I deserve to be cherished. And when you come from this mindset where you know that you're valuable, where you know that you're worthy, where you know that you deserve to have a man who values you and treats you well, makes you a priority, cares about you, looks you in the eyes and sees how beautiful you are and feels so lucky to be with you. When you have that, when you see that, when you believe that, you just need to make it familiar. Just see it over and over again till you really believe it. Till you really know that this is who you are, that this is what you deserve, that you are sacred, and that you won't accept any behavior that is less than that. So as you go today, remember that you are valuable. Remember that you are worthy. Remember that you deserve to be cherished. And with that, thank you so much for being here. Visit MatthewCoast.com if you're interested in learning more from me and me personally helping you to get into the relationship that you want. Visit me there, and I will speak with you again soon. Thank you so much. Good night, good day, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and I will speak with you again soon.